Yeah, so here, A1 through A5, these are each analog inputs as well as digital I/O pins. So why does it... All right, I need to get the serial connection working to this thing. Okay. So... I mean, this is the USB modem. Why am I not connecting to it here? Maybe sudo. So this is really interesting. Every time I try to connect to the board, OBS quits for some reason. Yeah, so this is our device in theory. Okay, or maybe if I write... Wow, something is just killing, I guess it's the streaming? Something's just killing my resources on this box. Yeah, 311% CPU. Nice. Okay, finally we got... Okay, cool. So let me open this here. Resource busy. Let's kill any screens. I think this was what I had to do last time. Okay. Yeah, VS Code is really not cooperating. See this recording increase. I guess it's just a transcoding. Right. Finally. Okay. Yeah, now we can see debug output. Okay, so it looks like it doesn't like D19 as a pin. Why doesn't it like D19 as a pin? Here, I mean, I don't know if I'm just reading this incorrectly. I mean, we can't say A5. Is this gonna work? Oh, well, there you go. I guess you can reference the. You can write digital to the analog pin, and it's referenced as an analog pin. Okay. Cool. So we have. All right. Cool. So now we have control of our left strip here. I can change this to, let's comment this, D9. We have control of the right strip. Let's verify that we're getting so we should be getting like around 5 volts on both sides here. Oh, we're getting 3. What was I outputting here before? Where's this one? That's so I guess we're getting a voltage drop. And 3 on this side. Okay. All right, so this is good. You know, ultimately, from here, well, let's go ahead and see if we can power. Let's see what the light drain or the power drain looks like when we just run a single strip, 8 LEDs with no white. So again, these are RGBW. So they have standard RGB pins or RGB LEDs, and then here, if you can see, you can sort of see it's a bit out of focus, but you can see this yellow phosphor area here. This is actually an additional white LED as well. The idea would be, as a strobe, you could either fire just the white or the white and the full RGB spectrum to get a really bright white. So let's go ahead and plug. Let's try to get some power on here from my power supply, and we can measure. The current that's being drawn. So the board again requires 3.3. Oh yeah, let's pull this back. Get a longer jumper here. It'd be useful if I wired it correctly. Okay, so 5 volts in, so in theory if I reset this, yeah. So this is being driven just off the power supply, and I don't know if you can. I don't think that you'll be able to see this, but we're drawing at about almost 0.2 amps. And again, that's with this one powered. Maybe if I pull the power on this, we can see. Okay, so that one strip, like 0.05, 0.06 amps. So let's see if we can just get, let's see if we can just get all of these to stay on. And we can measure, oh, I'm not hooked up to USB, that would be useful. So I'm just trying to measure, I'm just trying to measure the total consumption of 8 LEDs, RGBW plus plus the white. Okay, so here before I defined all on white. So here's our routine. So we can just comment this out. Okay, so that's interesting. So let's see if we can just do white on here. Yeah, okay. So that's interesting. So these are currently being powered by just the output power from the 5-volt USB, and if I remember correctly, this thing can only output from the USB, yeah, maximum of 500 milliamps. So if we look at what happens whenever, okay, so we have all white on right now, and let's see if you can see that. You can't really tell. Basically, only the yellow phosphor area is lit up right now on this, which shouldn't use that much power. But whenever I switch this to all on, which will basically set each channel, red, green, blue, and white, to full on. What is this all on? If you can see here, oh man, didn't like that. Okay. You'll see that these turn almost like an orange color because basically the lights can't get enough power. Yeah, the color's not really coming through, but the lights aren't getting enough power effectively. If I switch this, if I pulled the USB here and I switch to power supply power, let me power this down. So this should be significantly brighter once I reset the board. Is my brightness down maybe? Let's try it at half brightness. Let's see what that does for us. Oh, again, trying to so is this full bright? Let's try switching over to, let me kill the power here. So one of these strips is a warm white and one is a cool white. So let's see if there's a difference in the way that they look. So swap here back to a 5-pin. And we should get that to pop over. And there's my power. Okay, so let's wire up the power here again. Yeah, so I don't know if you can tell. Well, you know, let's we can actually test this. The difference between the cool white and the warm white. So let me kill this really quick. So I can, let's see, pixels 2. Let's make this board D9. And then if we come here, we can set these to all on as well. Okay. So something's up with my something doesn't like whenever I flex this board. Okay, well, let's pull the power here and let's see, maybe we can see the difference now. So give it 5 volts. Yeah, so you can definitely see the difference between a cool white here and a warm white on the right side. I still think there's something off here. These don't seem like they're all the way, like they're powering up all the way. I'm not getting much of a current drain. Huh. Is my brightness appropriately set? Okay, brightness is at 0.5 here. So we can change this back to 1. I mean, is the brightness even doing anything at this point? Yeah, okay, so if I change pixels 1, which represents the cool whiteboard, this left board here, and brightness at 0, it should go off. Yeah, okay. So 0.00. And how low can we go with the brightness adjustment? Yeah. I don't know, is it even a float? Yeah, okay, so that's pretty dim. I mean, I guess you can't go over 1, right? Yeah. happened. Yeah, luckily there's a handy reboot button there on the board. Okay. So it doesn't like something we did. You're in safe mode. Something unanticipated happened. Core code crashed. Cool. All right. Interesting. Crash and hard fault handler. Okay, I guess it didn't like being hooked up to ground on the power supply. All right. So again, change this to like 5, doesn't make it any brighter. Yeah, something just seems off with this though, right? Like this cool white over here, or this warm white seems to not be right. I wonder what happens if I just power this thing directly. So let's pull the jumpers from the board. The board is going to stay powered from USB, and I guess let's pull these power pins. Okay. Yeah. What's the worst that could happen? Okay. Oh yeah. Oh man. We were like really out on power. So why is this so much brighter? Oh my gosh. Okay. So, okay. Wow, this is interesting. So this is all on here. Huh. Okay, so let me, I guess let me make a new power rail over on this side. Let me get a couple of other jumpers here. Maybe like some clean jumpers. So what does this tell us? Is that so power and ground. Ground and power. Okay, so let's, so there's some flickering on the left side. Well, on the plus side now I don't have to, okay, so these are just like full on, and okay, we gotta do this a little bit better here. Let me wire up, like I said before, some different rails here. Okay. So these rails on the right side will be power supply powered. And here to here. And power to power. Okay, so this happened the other day where it was acting all crazy, and I think when I patch the two grounds, yeah, okay. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see. Let me grab a couple more jumpers. I need some long ones. Okay, we should do. Nope. Okay, I guess I can make a secondary rail here. Okay. So let's see if we can get both to fill. Nope. So let's comment. Okay, so all on is working there. So what is wrong with our... All right, data looks good. So I'm not sure why my pin's okay here. I'm not sure why power's not coming to this board. Well, let's bring out a voltmeter we can test if we're actually getting power or not to the board here. Okay. And there's like almost 5 volts coming in. So and here as well. So why doesn't it like it? Yeah, so interesting. Whenever I pull ground, I guess these need to share a common ground with the board. Okay, I mean, what if I try, let's see, pixel on. Why, I don't get it, why all of a sudden, I mean, if I power this directly, yeah, okay, so it's freaking out, that's good. But, I mean, if I patch in ground here, then it kind of chills out. Yeah, I mean, everything is set up properly. I don't get it. Oh, wait, pixel. I'm an idiot. 0. Oh my god. Okay. So, yeah, my brightness was set to 0 on that. Yeah, let's just pretend that didn't happen. So, let me reset this. We can patch back over to this rail here. So this would be our power, our ground. Oh, we need to go one over. Okay, so yeah, in theory, this should now work once we apply power. It's so interesting. It's not really coming out on the camera, but they're like slightly flickering, and I don't know why. Huh, maybe it's like some kind of dirty power. Let's try all on and see what kind of draw we get. All right, so this is actual full brightness, and switching, we can see both at full power are drawing almost 0.7, so 0.67 amps, which is significant, right? And I mean, they're pretty warm as well. So, yeah, I guess what does this tell us? Well, it tells us that, you know, so what is this, 16 RGBW LEDs, right? So we're at 0.66 right now. So like 0.04 per LED, and then a ring would be, you know, I don't know. Let's just say one strand, 144. So it's like 6 amps. I mean, I don't know. You know, I guess this is constant on 6 amps. I wonder if we strobe these things, what the amp spike looks like. I guess we can try that. So we can sleep here. So I'm gonna strobe both of these at full power and see what kind of draw we get. Now, I don't know if the resolution on my power supply is good enough to keep up with the actual power draw, but yeah, I mean, still it looks like it's hitting like around 0.6. What if we strobe it faster? Does that make a difference? Yeah, I mean, not really. Okay, so I read on Adafruit's website that there's like not a huge difference in the brightness between like 1 and like 0.8, but that or like 1 and like I think 0.5. Let's turn off the strobe thing and see how much of a difference this makes. Okay, so at 0.8 brightness, let's we're getting some crazy flickering happening. Yeah, so that's so weird. Like, what is this? What is causing this? Is it? I mean, is this like because I'm so far off the board's ground? I mean, we can try jumping closer. I can't see anything. Uh-huh. So maybe that is it. So that's like a lot cleaner. Where was I before? I was on common rail ground. Let's see. Oh yeah, weird. So why is that happening? I guess it's... Okay, well, I guess I need to be just basically on... directly on the board's ground. Okay. So, again, full power, 0.66. Half power. What does that do for our brightness level? Okay, I mean, it definitely drops it. We're at 0.32. So going back to 1. And move down to 0.85. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of negligible. I found a post once from Adafruit sipping power. I think this may have been it. They talk about yeah, see here they say that an RGBW NeoPixel, which is what this board is, are these two strips here. But the fourth LED element inside may draw closer to 80 milliamps each. Which are we seeing? Where's my history? We're seeing 0.04 roughly per LED. It says 0.04 amps. Yeah, I mean, there's one strategy, use fewer pixels, sure. Tone down the brightness, yeah, so I think this is where I read. I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose, because we kind of want it to be as bright as possible. So changing, tap the right button twice to cycle through 50 and 0% duty cycle. You'll notice something odd here. The 50% duty cycle state seems disproportionately bright. You can verify in the code. Really, the 50%, okay. This means you can get most of the brightness from NeoPixels using only half of the power. This is hugely important. So, yeah, so this may be something to consider, like power savings and like actual brightness, because 6 amps, right, at 144 LEDs. I mean, that's very dense, right? Like here is 144 LED strip per 104 LEDs per meter, right? So like super dense versus I think this is, I don't know, whatever the next step down is. So roughly twice as dense. Can you achieve the same desired effect with less pixel density, less LED density? I mean, probably, like on, if you're talking about like putting it on a ring or something. But if your goal, right, is purely to have like daytime, like visibility, strobe visibility at dusk or something like that, I guess density is your friend. I don't know. I mean, maybe using these RGBW. So what if I just try only the white? Let's see what that does. So white on. Let's see what this does for both our power and our brightness. So right now I'm 0.55 amps. Yeah, so I mean more than half it dropped. We're down to 0.22. But the brightness is significantly lower. Let's try just RGB. Okay, so those are 0.34. So all on, I guess we can comment here. We said it was 0.66, right? Okay, right now we are just RGB on. We're at 0.34. And then if we go to white on, this is 0.22. Yeah, I mean, I don't know sort of what the best thing is at this point. I don't know that this is bright enough, right? Just looking at this, would this be bright enough to act as a strobe? Let's see if we can get some kind of strobe effect in here. This would be off. Yeah, I mean, I would say probably not. I don't know, I mean, I mean, so maybe the solution is you know, I mean, that I would say all on, like with RGB and the white full on, this is probably bright enough. You know, but again, we're using, this is not even full brightness. I mean, like this would be ideal, right? But you know, the number of LEDs you'd have to use at this brightness. I mean, even at half this count. So what is a full strand? Let me see. 144. That's not what I'm looking for. Okay, so 60, I guess, is what that other strip is. Or maybe it's 30. I guess I can just count it and see. You know, I don't know that that density would be bright enough, you know, to meet the, you know, the legal requirements for how bright a strobe needs to be. So maybe just finding like ultra bright white LED strips. Yeah, these are like prohibitively expensive. And the power draw on them, right? But this one is the brightest LED strip. It must be the brightest. It says so. Yeah, I mean, $145, right? A 1,000 lumens per foot. Yeah, so this is another issue is, you know, a lot of the super bright LED strips are 12 volt, and the Arduino board is, well, this one is 3 volts, so I guess, you know, use a step-down converter. Is that the right thing to do? And then build that into a box. Yeah, see, these are like, I guess, kind of getting warm. They're not too hot. Yeah, so I think I'm glad I got both of these working at least now on the board. We can address them individually. I want to figure out why the why switching the ground so far off, you know, like just to the common ground on the rails. Why does that make everything go screwy? Yeah, like now it seems to be okay. Well, I think next time I'll probably more permanently wire these so that we can again feed power. I think, you know, I think that the final implementation of this won't be able to, obviously won't be able to pull power off of one of the pins, from the board. We'll have to do some sort of power splitting, you know, where we have, I mean, this has this JST header here. But again, I think we're limited. I don't think we can directly access. I would need to look at the pinouts. I don't think we can directly access these. I think these go through some kind of voltage converter. Ultimately, I don't think we're going to be able to pull power for the LEDs directly from the board. I think we'll have to split. We'll have to have an input from a power source, obviously a battery, and then split that to power the LEDs and to power the board as well. Okay, cool. So yeah, I think this is a sort of a good first step here. Again, we didn't really address the problem of, like I was saying at the beginning, how do we animate? Right, so in an implementation, right, like in a final implementation or ideal solution here, you know, you could have 1, 2, or 3 different strips on different pins, and then each strip would be running its own animation. You know, how do we do that in a way that allows the animations to run smoothly, independent of each other, but all within, you know, whether it's Python or whether it's in C, running within the, you know, the single loop, right, in a non-multi-threaded environment. So I think we can probably tackle that on the next stream, and hopefully that comes sooner than the last one. So stay tuned. I think we all have a lot of time right now on our hands. So hopefully I can, I'll be streaming here in the next week. If anybody has any ideas, feel free to reach out or post a comment on this video. If you have any ideas as far as the animating goes, or why that weird flicker was happening when I was on the common ground rather than this ground that was right close to the board. So anyways, until next time.